Yo, 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 Async Book Club. Steve here. Trying to funny episode here with the book Wicked. I found there to be a lot of funny moments. However, my sense of humor sometimes could be a little bit extra or circumspect. But I, yeah, I know I put a note down on like all the moments that I thought were funny in Wicked, and I'm gonna share them with you. And I'm curious if you guys think any of them are funny as well. Um, Before I start, there is something that I wanted to say in terms of the comparison between Wicked and the show Wednesday, which we'll be releasing a video with that. Um, that one will be with Marina arguing whether it's Wednesday or not. She's gonna be arguing that it's not Wednesday. I'm gonna be arguing that it is Wednesday. But I feel like a lot of the funny moments, especially with Elphaba, very much are reminiscent of the funny moments in, or the moments that I thought were funny in Wednesday regarding Wednesday. I find her character quite hilarious at times. Um, so let's get into it. So Elphaba says, I always imagined a bit of nonsense that there was a dwarf inside or an acrobatic family of elves, each working a limb. Then she says, whenever Grommetic comes around, my hand gets a strange hunger for a hammer. So, just first of all, I find that funny because she wants to hit him, and it's like subtly done. Second, again, when I was reading this, I just kept on thinking of Wednesday, and I was like, this is such a thing that Wednesday would say or do. Um, then when Elphaba's with Fiero, they're having a good time, and Fiero says, "It's Lernimus Eve, like Christmas Eve. I'm not going to spend the holiday in a bathtub all alone." And then Elphaba says, "Well, hire some company, see if I care." So again, I find it funny that she would say that. It's kind of like saucy. Um, it's interesting because you're reading it, so it could be interpreted in different ways. It could be interpreted as her just being like a bitch, part of my French, or it could be her like a wink. Well, hire some company, see if I care. Wink, wink. Either way is funny to me. Um, Next one. There's a line in the middle of the night. The cook disappeared. There was consternation among all except Elphaba, who didn't care. So again, like Elphaba, just like Wednesday, kind of has like this like character of like she is genuine. She only does things that she wants to do, doesn't care about what people think. And in this kind of situation, it's also like Elphaba is like this funny character that she doesn't care. Um, let's see. So Nessarosa tells Elphaba, she's like, oh, tiresome events of the distracting world. Yes, yes. Look, it's just beautiful out there in the gardens. Let's go for a walk for a bit and get some air. You look green about the gills. So that's like making fun of her for being green. And then Elphaba says, all right, I deserve that. So what I like about that, and the reason I found it funny is because she's like kind of like self-aware, willing to like almost like laugh at herself. And that's also kind of like the Wednesday character a little bit. She was like she knew who she was. She was and she was knew who she was, and she was also kind of like how would you put it? Confident in herself, or yeah. Um so all the rest ones are not going to be Elphaba, so therefore no more Wednesday talk, which I want to save for that other video anyway. So the nanny, at some point, she is the line goes, Elphaba opened her mouth. The word soul always provoked her. Glinda knew, but closed it again. She made a wincing nod toward the door. Without a word, Nanny got up to leave, but before the door closed behind her, Nanny said, it's not my place to complain, but really? No cream at a funeral? Um, so I think this was a funeral of Manic, and I found that funny. Like it's like dark humor. No cream at a funeral. Um, then Glinda at some point says Chuffrey is dry as two baked walnuts. So I LOL when I'm reading whenever I see like funny insults as dry as two baked walnuts, like Y2. Uh, so Gregory, kudos to that. It's like it's not the funniest one, but just like that's kind of like why I find it funny. There's some like WTF funny moments in Wicked as well. Um, there's a line, they couldn't help but feel the unsettling eroticism of the landscape. From the eastern approach, the Cumbrisha Pass looked like a woman lying on her back, her legs spread apart, welcoming them. And very much WTF. I definitely chuckled after reading that because I was just like, this is crazy. Because, I mean, who walking would be unsettled because of a landscape actually looking like that? I guess if it actually did look like that. Yeah, I guess it did look like that, which is kind of this crazy world that they're living in. But it's kind of like a WTF LOL moment. Um then there was the moment with the sisters of Fiero's wife, forget her name, talking about books. So three, for some reason, the sisters are named by numbers. So Sister 3 says, in his cold, morose, withdrawn, embittered fashion. 4, Sister 4 says, hardly the thing one reads about in novels. 5, if one reads novels. 6 says, which we don't. So I found it funny. It's kind of like, it's almost like self-deprecating humor, but also the fact that this is being written uh, by the writer. This is kind of reminded me a little bit of Haruki Murakami, which I refuse to read any more of his books. But uh, which maybe I should do an episode on Haruki Murakami. Huh. Noted. So Haruki Murakami in his books often talks about writing books, and so you're reading a book about books. So it's like this like meta thing, and in this situation, it's kind of a meta funny thing. Next one's definitely dark humor. This is the moment that they find not Manic, it was Lear, Lear dead in the well. And Irish says he's even fatter than usual. And then Manic says, if you prick his eyes out with the magic straw from the magic broom, his soul will come back. Um, uh, so like it's I don't know why I find that funny. It shouldn't be funny, but I think it's funny just because it's like so not what you're supposed to say. Like if you see a dead child in a well, the last thing you're going to be pointing out is he's even fatter than usual, and then talking about pricking his eyes out with a magic straw from a broom to get his soul back. It's like, um, so yeah, I have a weird sense of humor. Um, next, so this one was another WTF LOL movement. Uh, so I forget which character, but the line goes, "She hardly had a swelling here or there on her chest." Oh, this was the girl. Yeah, this was the girl that did all the weird stuff on the broom, which was unsettling. But the line still goes, she hardly had a swelling here or there on her chest, because she's young, with which to startle any sheep. Which I was like, what? Why would breasts startle sheep? It was kind of weird. Um, but I laughed as it's like ridiculous. Um, there was a good burn moment. Glinda reached out and touched the witch's elbow. They won't make your father love you any better. And I was like, oh, damn. So, like, that's an LOL, like, from a burn, like a roast perspective. Like, oof, damn, that's like rough. Um, then there was an argument. There was a scene when Elphaba's over Averick's place with all of his friends, and they're all arguing, and one of the people in the group, which is not clear because in the in the book it keeps on changing who's talking without giving an indication of who is talking. So it's like imagine like five, no, it's like 10 quotations in a row. Where Averick was number one, and then someone else was the second one, and then the third one was someone else, and then the rest didn't say who it was. So you don't know who's saying this, but someone said, I like pain if I'm wearing calfskin chaps and I have my wrists tied behind me. So that was funny from like an S&M perspective. Definitely made me chuckle. It is interesting that it's not clear who said it, at least to me. Um, and last but not least is the really weird relationship between Frex and Turtleheart. So Frex is Elphaba's dad, or Milena's husband, and Turtleheart is basically Milena's um, uh, what you call paramour, not mistress. I think paramour is the male equivalent. So Turtleheart is the paramour of Milena, and Frex. The line goes, Frex was asleep, dreaming of Turtleheart. So basically, Frex is dreaming about his wife's paramour, dreaming, not nightmare. Um, so I found that funny. Um, Curious to hear if you think any of these things are funny. Would be a nice sense of humor check for me. And if there's any funny moments I missed, uh, for sure would love to hear it. So put it in the comments. And what else? Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Peace.